Hello. How are we all doing? Good. So yeah, I'm going to talk to you today about AI in legal. Let's get onto the right slide. And what I'm going to and my mission, my goals for the next 30 minutes is to talk about AI in legal and what concerns, and then what concerns and what risks there are in using AI. But then also, because I love technology and I love what AI is doing and what can do. And then we'll talk about sort of things of how to mitigate those concerns and those risks. And then ideas of how you can start using AI now, but then also in the next 5 years. So, what do I do? Who am I? Why it matters for this presentation? So there is a lot of buzz around AI. There's a lot on social media of you should be using this tool, you should be using that tool. Me and Tom went to a conference last week, and it was more around it was a conference not about AI, but 95% of the conversations were about AI, and the questions that were asked of the panel from the audience was all about AI. So it's very relevant right now. And if we go back 5 to 10 years, it's the same sort of buzz around digitisation. You've got to take your paper processes and make them into a digital process. And I see a lot of similarities between then and now. There is sort of you should start using it. You should start using AI now, which is using going from digitisation to AI. I think you do need to have digitisation first before you move to AI. But however, implementing AI, there are a lot of gaps, a lot of things that are missing in the advice that is coming out. I plan to dig into this a lot more. There's a lot of information security is one thing I plan to cover. So what I'm going to do is explain this wheel. So a bit about me. So you can see Tom on the image there as well. So when me and Tom are not having a coffee, or a beer, yeah. We run a software business, and it has been mentioned a few times, and we are on a standout there. And that's got AI integrated into it as well. But also, I run a technology consulting business, and technology strategy business. So we help companies use technology and integrate that into their day-to-day processes, as well as what you call ISO management systems. Some of you may have heard of it, 9001, which is quality, 27001, which is information security. And this wheel is more of it's almost skills I've developed over my career, but they are things that I think, if you're going to implement AI in the next 5 years and do it well, is things that you need to consider. So I've got change management on there. So a lot of businesses might start using ChatGPT or a voice recorder that records everything that you've said, and then you can talk to that AI. But how does that integrate into your organisation? And there's generally people have pushback. So change management is very important, as well as the ability to be able to implement that. So project management, processes, and Lean Six Sigma. So Lean Six Sigma comes from the manufacturing organisation, which is my background in aerospace engineering. Lean is from Toyota. So it's all about removing waste from your processes. So mapping out your business processes from from raw materials to outputting a product if we're manufacturing. And Six Sigma it comes from Motorola. It's all about removing the variability. And then the last point I'm going to talk about there is, I've already mentioned it, 27001, which is information security. So you're putting that people's information into the AI. Where does that go? And how do you manage that risk? So they're the sort of key things I think you should consider when you're thinking about AI. So by a show of hands, who's currently? I think Tom's already asked this one, but who is using AI in the business? Well, I love the ticks. It's maybe two thirds of the room. So why I think you should embrace AI now. So Tom earlier, he talked, we've had lots of conversations about this. He's talked about the £10 and and the £100 tasks and eliminating those tasks. Well, AI is perfect for eliminating those day-to-day tasks. So if someone rings the business and you're not available, you have an AI chatbot take the call, get that key information from them, and put it into your CRM. So there's in technology, and this is a well-known law or working theory, is Moore's law. There's a guy called Gordon Moore who developed this law that every 2 years the size of the number of microchips you can get on a silicon chip doubles, and that is actually slowing down now, because it's just the size they've got so small. So it's like the next step in technology. However, there's another guy I'm a big fan of. He's called Ray Kurzweil. He was director of engineering and AI at Google for a while, and he wrote a book in 2005 called The Singularity. So this is when the singularity is when AI becomes conscious, aware of itself. And he predicted that it'd be in 2029 that this happens. And in this book, he talks about the law of accelerating returns. So instead of, imagine a graph and sort of a line from left to right going up, instead of technology sort of going up, it is exponential. But what he's talking about is having the one technology compounds the next technology, so you get this increasing acceleration of technology. It's not a linear scale. So, and he predicted 2029. So 4 years time now. And there's some other, I'm not going to read from the slide, but there's some other good things that could come from AI. So we are going to be entering we already have entered it, but it's going to get more and more prevalent, is the agentic AI era. So what is an AI agent? It is essentially a computer program that automates a process for you. So OpenAI, ChatGPT has, I think it's only out in America at the minute, it's called Operator. You can ask it to go book a table for you through OpenTable and book a table for you, and it'll come back and tell you your table's booked. So, and you see from the graph here, there's the experts. So a lot of this data has come from Deloitte, Capgemini Research. There's in the next 5 years a big increase in the use of AI, and it's basically, and what I'm trying to say, it is coming, but the rest of my talk is sort of talking about how we manage that. So a few definitions. So people talk about AI. For me, it's a sort of which AI are you talking about? Because depending on which AI you're talking about is depending if you're mapping out your processes, which process we add that we use that, which AI we use to help streamline that process. So different. They're all AIs, but the main categories are machine learning, deep learning, and generative AI. And most of you know ChatGPT, Claude, Grok, which is generative AI, which are LLMs, large language models. So how is AI already? Well, AI is already transforming the legal industry. I've put four main areas there. So it's the legal research and knowledge management. So it speeds up that legal research by instantly analysing case law and regulations. 2, contract analysis and due diligence. So it looks at those past cases and sort of maybe it also comes up with strategies of how that case may turn out. Predictive analytics and litigation strategy. So you can summarise. I've mixed them up. That's predictive analytics. That's what I was talking about. Sort of the strategy and sort of how the case may turn out. And so sort of I suppose different tactics on that case. We've got contract analysis and due diligence. So it's feeding that contract in there and making sure you've covered everything in that contract. And then document automation. So that's pretty straight. Pretty clear what that does, but yeah, feed your documents in and sort of I suppose reduce it. Just checks that they're right. I think a very good example. This is a company think it's a Magic Circle firm. I think they're in London. Clifford Chance. Yeah, okay. And what they've done, they've managed to save 40% on legal, 40% of their time costs on legal briefings by creating an AI personal compliance officer. So what that essentially does is sits next to the person working in a law firm, and they sort of talk to that AI, and it helps them with the case that they're working on, but also as well checks that the advice that they're going to give to their client, it almost gives them a checklist of make sure you've got this document, and you send this document and this document. So it's almost that making sure they're doing everything right and not making mistakes. I'm sure you guys don't make mistakes. So risks and concerns. So I did talk to one lady outside earlier, and we were talking about scams. That using AI, yeah, it's getting clever enough now to increase the number of scams that are happening, and a lot of these risks and concerns are very valid concerns. There's a lot of job displacement is a big one. People worried about the jobs, and that happens a lot in a lot of industrial revolutions. We saw it. I didn't plan to talk about this, but we saw it between industrial revolutions one to three of people actually losing the jobs. But over the long term, that curve does actually go up, and it is they tend to be biased and discriminate. There was a talk, a friend of ours, Emma Else. She was in this conference last week. She was giving a talk, and she was saying about how it discriminates if you ask for a picture of a doctor, and it'll spit out a white man as a doctor. So there is a form, if you're just using it in its basic form, there is a form of discrimination. It does hallucinate as well. It makes things up, and that again comes down to a good prompt. It does tend to tell you what you want to hear as well, depending on the prompt that you put in. So here I've got 15 things and there is more, but different things that I think controls and risk mitigation and controls that you can put in place. I'm not going to talk through all of them, because we'll be here. I could talk about this for two or three hours, but I'll pick a few. I've mentioned ISO 27001. So 27001 is a international standard for information security. So it's what your policies and processes and controls you have in place to make sure not just you, but the AI companies that you're using have got those controls in place. So Google and Microsoft do have ISO 27001. So using Copilot and Gemini, it's more of a I'm not saying ChatGPT. ChatGPT says that it is GDPR compliant, but they don't have 27001. Not that I know of. But also as well, what Google also has is a very new standard called 42001, which only came out in 2023. Again, it's an international standard, but it's the controls, policies, processes that you should have in place for if you're using AI. And these standards can be for the companies that you're using, but also these standards are the standards that companies should be abiding to. But also you can follow those frameworks yourself if you're implementing AI. I think someone mentioned earlier about having human in the loop and that human connection. I think that is also very important. There's a customer that I'm working with at the minute, and we're looking at it's a type of manufacturing company, and they basically want the AI to spit out a recommendation on the next products that they want to send to the customer. So it's looking at the inventory, it's looking at their knowledge of the industry and what the customers likes and dislikes, and it's taking all that information and kicking out that recommendation of that product. But before that gets sent, they actually want to be able to approve that before it gets sent to the customer. So these are not all if you actually put a lot of these controls in place, you'd be sort of start to sort of be really on top of good risk mitigation and controls for AI. I think some of the other ones I've put in there. So yeah, robust GDPR processes. The next slide, so I'll go to the next slide. So one of them on there, I've put, ensure your data is not used to train the LLM, the large language model, i.e. the ChatGPT. So this is a screenshot of the settings on my ChatGPT. And in the settings, there's this thing here, improve the model for everyone, and that's just automatically on. So that essentially means that your data is being used to continually train the AI. I suggest I've turned it off.
When you say your data, do you mean the questions that you asked ChatGPT, or take data from elsewhere in your whatever you maybe on your phone?
No, it can't take it. It doesn't take data off just what you're putting into it. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I think it can take data off your phone if you're using the mobile app.
It's a new one to me. So yeah.
We would discuss it at a conference last week.
Interesting.
So I removed it from my phone instantly. I only use it on a PC now.
If you connect it to your iOS system, like so for Apple, you can now build ChatGPT. Sorry, is that hard?
No, go for it. It's interesting. Yeah.
You can build ChatGPT into your iOS system, so then it kind of seems to be like in the app itself. You shouldn't be able to access if laptop sets that off.
I'm a bit worried about the data privacy.
Mm-hmm.
I always consider like, but I do use ChatGPT, but I moved over to Copilot because I was told my client data or my data and the information is more protected because I'm doing it within my tenant.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just told this and I just believed it to be the truth, but I'm just sitting there and I'm thinking, oh God, I need more due diligence to check that. But
I would agree with that
is
statement.
that
Yeah.
good thinking?
Yeah. Microsoft is more of a secure. It's probably the best secure environment for using other documents. But using like giving it information, because I used to get frustrated working for when I used to work for other people in manufacturing companies. And we worked in the Microsoft environment. You got Word and Excel, which is all really good, but it was very restrictive. I couldn't, like at the time, I was building little apps for the people on the shop floor to complete, so we could get that data off the shop floor. And I couldn't do it with the Microsoft because of the rules that were in place. So I ended up doing it with a Google form. So and Google Forms more open source. So it's Microsoft I would suggest is the best. But then Google has 42001, and I think Microsoft's working on it as well.
Okay, thank you.
So what we're going to talk about here is first steps of using AI. So there's some of you that are probably already doing some of these, which is great. I think this is more for the people in the room that are not doing these things. So an example I've put here. And I've not told you this, Tom, but this is taken from public information. It's from Google. So Tom set up on his legal growth. We've set it up, haven't we? The AI. So when you go onto GMB, Google My Business on Google, and someone puts a comment on your business, the AI automatically responds to that post, and it's about that whole. And Tom will talk more about this, but it's all about that engagement with customers and that visibility. The next one here is the leadership. Leadership. This is a meeting I went to a customer 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I use Otter. There's lots out there. There's Fathom. There's loads of different AI. I can't think what it's called, but the transcript takes of your meeting. I prefer Otter AI, and I love the fact that I can talk to the AI and ask, and it gives me insights into the meetings. And there's so many things where I've gone, what did that person say? And you just ask the AI, what did that person say? And of course, you've got to get approval to use. Like you have to, but I make sure I get approval from people to use this. And then I do try to delete. Once I've got the information from that meeting, I delete it.
Is that a recorded meeting? Or?
That was a live. So I've got the app on my phone, and I record it during the meeting. You can actually. I did this with a optional lecture, a university lecture that I did one time. I recorded the lecture, and why we're having the lecture, well, we had to give presentation. This is part of a module from a university course. And we had to present our as a team, present this presentation, but then we also had to ask questions of the team this is just I never planned to talk about this, but random example. We had to ask the other teams that were presenting questions, and it was one of them where, like, late night, I've had a lot of coffee, I can't focus on what they're saying. Because it was recording the meeting, I asked it, what are some good questions I can ask this team? And it gave me them right there. As I finished the presentation, I pressed enter, and it gave me. Of course, I deleted all that afterwards. Other examples. So we talked about the Clifford Chance company. So on the top right of the screen, and that's a GPT that I've built. So a GPT is, for those who don't know, it's almost like an AI agent. So you train it, you write a prompt, you upload documents, and you tell it, you give it information of things that you want it to be knowledgeable about. So this was, and we talked about 27001, this is a GPT that I could use to ask it certain questions about the international standard, different things like that. And that could be, just like Clifford Chance, you could create a GPT. It doesn't have to be on chat. It can be on a chat bot, and it sort of can integrate with a large language model. So yeah, you don't have to use a chat GPT. And then the other example I've got here, I was talking about a chat bot, but the chat bot. So here, like you see here, this is a customer, an American customer that we've got. They're building a chemistry course for students. They want, while the students are learning, to be able to talk, if they get stuck on anything, to actually talk to the AI and get that sort of live feedback with the AI about about chemistry, about sort of what I think I've asked the question here. Why does sodium ignite? My spelling's awful, but when placing it in water, and it gives that answer. So this is I think my second, basically my last slide. I've got four minutes to go, so I think I've timed this quite well. This is I created this quite quickly when Tom asked me to present this presentation, but this is almost some of the process what I go through with clients wanting to integrate AI. And so I talked about those skills on that one, some of the first slides, and this is all sort of integrated into this process. And so this is what I suggest if you're thinking about using AI in the next 5 years, is almost looking at your business strategy, but also taking your technology strategy and combining them together. So the steps here, so I would start with a technology needs assessment or a gap analysis. And a lot of what I'm doing with customers, I go into customers, and a lot of the data is in data silos. So it's all isolated. So they may have done an improvement where they've started using a certain software. Again, with the point of, I start using this AI software, but how does that integrate to the rest of your business? And so for me, it's going in and then looking at how the business processes and how all those parts of data are isolated, and then mapping that process out. And then at that point, and then also I've talked about the business strategy, but I've put future state vision. So what you're trying to do, are you trying to make better engagement with customers? Are you trying to improve your day-to-day processes? And then that all feeds into looking at then what actual AI tools do we want to use to improve that, your operations, your day-to-day, as well as the marketing aspect, as well as that engagement with customers. And I've talked about, sorry for the guys over here, but information security controls, and that again building into that wider strategy. If we're implementing this technology, one, we want to make sure it's done in a safe, ethical, and all those risks and concerns we talked about. And I've put also as well a central data hub. So for me, you've got those data silos. It's getting all that information into, if you've got it integrated, linked up the technology, getting all that data into one place. Or if it's not in one place, at least being able to get that data can communicate with each other. And of course, you're going to look at you put a business case together, your risks, your sort of your costs, your return on investment. I'm looking over there, but the screen, I can look at this screen. But and also the human in the loop. I love technology, I love AI, but I still like. I think Dan mentioned it, but someone mentioned about that human connection. I think it's so important as well to keep that human connection. And that's pretty much it. I mean, there's a lot more to it. I mentioned change management as well. But if you're going to implement this across your organisation, you want to do a very controlled change process. Because I've been, earlier on in my career, we implemented technology, but there's no change management occurred, and then it fails, or it doesn't work properly, it doesn't communicate with the rest of the systems and processes within your business. So that's me. Thank you very much for your time and for listening.